There's a study that was released by Harvard speaking about children in school and the teachers and how they have racial bias toward black children. They also mentioned Hispanic children as well. Now, we're going to get into talking about this because how many times have we been telling everyone we need to create schools in the black community? Our children are subjected to racial abuse. You know, when you tell a child that they can't wear their natural hair, that's abusive. You don't tell little Becca that she can't wear her natural hair. Nothing is said about that. But it's always said something to black children, constantly humiliating them, making them feel bad about themselves. Now, according to, and we'll post a link to this in the description box so you guys can check this out yourself or make your own video because they just basically saying what we all been saying for a long time. So if you look at the article here, it said a national study analyzed for the first time stereotypes held by white adults who work or volunteer with children across the U.S. examined their reported attitudes toward adults, teenagers, and children range from racial and ethnic backgrounds. This includes attitudes toward black and Hispanic Latin groups, but also toward those from Native American, Asian, Arab backgrounds. Now, according to this, and I'm just reading this as we go along, lead author Naomi Priest, associate professor of the ANU Center of Social Research and Methods, said the study found high levels of negative racial stereotyping toward non-whites of all ages among adults working or volunteering with children. Highest levels of negative attitudes were found toward blacks across all stereotypes, measured lazy, unintelligent, violent, and having unhealthy habits. Now, let's say with Native American and Hispanic seen as similarly negative on several stereotypes. These are most profound toward adults, but even seen toward young children ages 0 to 8. Now, everything that you heard, they said that this bias, lazy, unintelligent, violent, and having unhealthy habits. That is nothing but white supremacy, white supremacist attitudes toward black people. And then just think about this. We send our children to schools with people that have these attitudes, okay? If they're not going to treat you right, why would they educate you? They're not going to teach you right. Think about this. Now, we didn't get the lazy stereotype to after slavery because as long as we were being slaves, we were great hard workers. But when we started working for them for free, all of a sudden we became lazy. Okay. Now they say young children. Listen how sick this is. Let me start on the next one. Black children were seen less negatively than black adults, but were seen more negatively than children from other racial groups except for Native American and Hispanic. Now, they say young black children ages 0 to 8 were almost 3 times more likely to be rated as being lazy than white adults. How are you going to compare a black child to an adult and saying a child is lazy? You see how sick and demented these people are? They say with Native American, Hispanic young children also more likely to be considered lazy than white adults. So basically, anybody that's non-white, they're lazy. It's a problem, okay? Young black children were more than twice as likely to be rated as unintelligent or violence prone compared with white children of the same age, with young Hispanic children also seen as more unintelligent and violence prone than white children. Okay. How many black children do you know shot up a school? I haven't seen one that's going there shooting up schools. I mean, if blacks are so violent, why aren't we shooting up schools constantly? I don't understand that. Blacks are unintelligent. Blacks are this. We all these things, but yet you can't stay away from us. Even when we go to Africa, you're there. I seen it with my own eyes. I'm like, man, can we go one place where they're not following us, but you treating us like crap? And you wonder why our children have identity issues. You wonder why the children sometimes look down on themselves. You're being subjected to people who have white supremacist attitudes to our young, precious children. And it falls back on us as adults and as their parents to say, you must protect your children. This is why I put my daughter in a black school, black teachers. I am happy with that. I am good with that. She's getting great education, and I don't have to subject her to what we see in this article. Now, y'all talking about building here. Well, we need to build in America, not just Africa. Fine. Y'all want to start building schools? I'm all for building schools. I'm all for helping put in for it. I'm all for doing my part to help build schools for our children so they don't have to be subjected to this mess. But when are we going to say in each city that we need to pool our resources together and build schools for our children? It's not right for our children to be subjected to this. This is sick. This is sick. So they say some of the strongest levels of negative stereotyping reported by white adults working with children are reported toward teenagers, with black teenagers and Native Americans close to 10 times more likely to be considered lazy than white adults. Black and Hispanic teens were between 1.5 to 2 times more likely to be considered violence prone and unintelligent than white adults and white teens. That even goes for Hispanic people that watch the channel, that subscribe and like the page. You need to consider where you're sending your kids as well. And there's some people, and like I said, I have to talk about this within the Hispanic group. Some people want to play both sides. They don't like you according to this either. I know some of you want to join Trump and be against your own people, but they don't like you either. This is what they're saying. Now, they said these findings are highly concerning given the strong scientific evidence that negative racial attitudes are associated with poor quality care and services and with disparities in health, education, and social outcomes. These negative attitudes have been found toward even young children aged 0 to 8 among adults who work with or volunteer with them has serious potential consequences for these children's outcomes throughout life. Countering these negative stereotypes among adults who work with children and protecting children from minority backgrounds from the potential impact of these attitudes is an important strategy to address racial disparities. So, in every area of our lives, our little children, 0 to 8, they say they are lazy, unintelligent. I mean, this is why I say they don't need to have any position over black folk because they come in with that attitude. That's why, they try to stack the juries full of them because they know, well, I'm going to get at least enough of them on there that feel that way about black people. Not saying all of them do, but the ones that do, they bank on them convicting black folk. Man, little precious kids that's trying to get an education. Okay, some kids go through things. Some kids maybe don't have a dad at home. Some kids are struggling. Some kids, they got a hard life. And of course, sometimes they'd express that at times. But man, you just looking at our little kids, it's just, you know what I'm saying? But the kids in your group, they can do no wrong. This is why, once again, we need to build our own schools. And this is not no hating nobody to say this. This isn't right. This is Harvard University putting this out, telling black people once again, you need to protect your children. Continuing, they say this study is a wake-up call for every professional group who works with children in the U.S., doctors, teachers, police, child care workers, and others. It suggests that many professionals with good intentions may be treating America's valuable possession, our little children, badly without even being aware of it. It's so frustrating. It is frustrating. It's like you can't help the color of your skin. Nobody can. Nobody had a choice in anything. And just because you're born with this skin, just because another group of people with a different color skin, they feel it's their right to treat you bad and treat your little children bad. And the white supremacists, they have no morals. They don't care about harming your children. They don't care about treating your child any kind of way. And I remember telling that to my wife. I said, I can't send my little girl to that school, the public school. I couldn't do it. I said, I got to send her with black people. I got to, and that way I know the black sisters got her. That's who she around. Her teachers are great. And I just feel more at peace. Yes, I may have to drive a little bit. And that's an issue because we got to get on the beltway a lot, but it is what it is. Like I say, this article just really just made me sick to my stomach. And like I said, I'll post a link to this. And those of you who make videos, I mean, make your videos about this. I mean, this is our children. If we would take the time out and try to solve the issues with our children in our community, instead of worrying about distractions or worry about things that doesn't really matter, but solve the problems with our children, then we can get somewhere. Because our children are being subjected to white supremacy in the classroom. I mean, they own people put it out. Harvard put it out. Black folks didn't put this out. So they can't come back and say, oh, blacks are just playing the race card. Well, it's your own people made it. So now what? You gonna say they playing the race card too? Oh, I'm sorry. This is the excuse. Well, Harvard just being social justice warriors. Yeah, I guess a white person is telling the truth about racism. It has to be a problem. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular study. We have to really have conversations about our children and pool our resources together to create schools, get great teachers. But we say this, but we have to actually do it, because our children every day is literally being subjected to Jim Crow style treatment.